Checking in for your Royal Caribbean cruise isn't difficult, but there are a lot of questions about it. How does it work? What time can you start it? Should you do it early? Does it matter what time you pick? I'm going to answer all your Royal Caribbean check-in questions up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. When it's time to check in for your Royal Caribbean cruise, man, it feels so good that your cruise is finally here, or at least close enough that you can check in. And while the process is easy, there aren't a lot of tutorials immediately available. Plus, you may not know the hacks to get the earliest boarding times and step on the gangway faster. Because at the end of the day, you want to begin your cruise vacation as soon as possible. So I wanted to answer all your pressing questions in one video. Number one, how do I get the earliest boarding time? Boarding early means you get onto the ship earlier and can begin your vacation right away. Remember, the cost you paid for your cruise is the same whether you board the ship at 11 a.m. or 2 p.m., but you can get the earliest boarding time by checking in early. Check-in opens online 45 days before your cruise and closes the day before you're sailing. Cruisers can check in online either through Royal Caribbean's app or the website. I recommend using the app instead of the website. Check-in is pretty simple. It involves entering your personal information, scanning your passport, taking a security photo, and cruisers should know they should also add an emergency contact information and payment method for any onboard expenses. Now, once that check-in is completed, you'll be able to choose an arrival time to enter the terminal. The arrival times will be listed in half-hour slots, usually ranging between like 11 and 11:30, 11:30 and 12, etc., all the way up till about 2:30 p.m. These arrival times are first come, first reserved. So the earlier you check in, the more time slots will be available. That might lead you to ask, what time does check-in open and is it at midnight? Online check-in opens 45 days before your cruise and it's available on both the app and the website. If your cruise leaves from the United States, online check-in will open at midnight in the time zone of the departure port. While you can use both the app and the website to check in, the app has a few benefits. First, in the app, you're able to reserve a check-in time before doing any of the other steps, like entering your passport information and taking a selfie photo and all those things. If you do it on the website, it makes you do all that in order to get a boarding time. But in the app, you can actually go straight to the boarding time, pick that, save, go back to sleep, and then the next day, enter all that information later on. Moreover, in the app, it's really easier to do it because you can scan your passport instead of entering the information. I also think it's easier to take a selfie photo because your phone basically has a camera built in. It's really easy to do that. And on top of that, in some ports, there's actually an expedited boarding process that you can qualify for, but you need to use the app for it. Now, all of this saves you time at the cruise terminal because the terminal agent just has to verify your travel documents and your boarding pass. Of course, you still need to have your travel documents with you, so you need to bring them, including a passport and, of course, that digital set sail pass. But ultimately, checking in on the app as early as possible means you'll spend less time boarding and more time enjoying your vacation. Next up, when are Royal Caribbean luggage tags available? Luggage tags are available before your cruise, usually at the 30-day point when your vacation documents are available. To access them, you go to the Royal Caribbean website, log into your account, view your cruise, and then select View More Details. Cruise documents and luggage tags will appear under this toggle, and you can download and print luggage tags from there. These tags ensure that the porters and cruise ship staff know where to leave your luggage on embarkation day and that no bags get lost. To save time at the cruise terminal, guests can also print their luggage tags beforehand and then affix them to their larger bags. Then when you get to the port, it'll be a quick handoff to the bags to the terminal porters. And I know there's some people out there who don't check their bags for whatever reason. I think you're crazy. I'm sorry. I'm going to say that because I don't want to lug my bags around the ship. And I get that there's a bit of a delay from getting your bags from the porters over to your stateroom. I think it's a minimal one. And I think the amount of issues I've ever had with my bags being delivered late has been very minuscule in all my years of cruising. I just don't want to lug my bags any more than I have to. Let someone else do it. Next up, do I need my travel documents to complete my check-in? In order to complete your check-in online, you're going to need your passport, birth certificate, or other ID. Passengers will also be adding their crown and anchor number and a payment method. In addition, you'll also be taking a security photo, which will make the boarding process go smoother at the port. Because of these requirements, it's really best to check in while at home when you have access to all the essential documents and a plain white background. And as I'm recording this video, it reminds me I need to do my check-in for my next cruise. Next up, can I check someone else in? You're going with a cruise with a family member, girlfriend, cousin, guy from work, person you met on the Royal Caribbean blog message boards, whatever the case, can you do the check-in for them? The good news is guests can check in any other passengers on their reservations that are linked to their account. The check-in page will list the reservation with all added guests sailing on the same cruise. You can click their name to begin the check-in process. However, keep in mind that you'll need their travel documents on hand, and it's best if the passenger is available to take their security photo. Now, how do you link your reservation to somebody else? Well, the easiest way is to have your travel agent do it. Say, hey, I want to link reservations between myself and this reservation number, and then that's pretty simple to do so. I have been able to do this in the past. I'm not sure it's a feature, but if I'm going into my reservation, let's say I want to book like a shore excursion or a reservation for dinner, and there's the option to add other guests. And when I do that, in many cases, that ends up linking the reservations together to begin with, and then later on I can go back in and see their information and be able to do their check-in for them. Of course, if you have physical access to their device, like maybe it is your parents or a family member, and you're visiting them, you can obviously do the check-in for them. I mean, sharing passwords is really not what you want to do. That's kind of just a bad idea to begin with. So instead, have your reservations linked together so you can complete the online check-in for them. Next question, do I need a check-in time if I bought the key? The key is an optional extra cost add-on that Royal Caribbean offers for embarkation and disembarkation day, and there's also other benefits as well. You can purchase the key before the cruise via the Cruise Planner website and receive special access and VIP perks while boarding. Now, there's a number of benefits you get, such as early access to the terminal, drop off your carry-on luggage in the dining room, carry-on luggage is hand-delivered to your cabin, exclusive welcome lunch in the main dining room, private reserved time at some of the onboard activities like the rock climbing wall and flow rider, priority departure from the ship to shore at tender ports, early access to shows at the main theater, a complimentary internet package, and disembarkation day, you're going to enjoy a private a la carte breakfast and choice departure. If you have the key, you should still get a check-in time anyway, but the difference is you'll have a special line that will buck whatever time that you have anyway. So with the key, you get that early check-in time, which is usually like 11, 11:30, same time as basically the earliest time available for other passengers. And that allows you to not only get on board the ship sooner, but also take advantage of that free Chops Grill lunch and less crowded amenities. For somebody that has the key, Royal Caribbean does recommend arriving to the cruise terminal before noon. But if you can't make that early access window, then arrive at a time during the selected time that you made earlier in the app. Now, I'd argue if you can't make it for early for the check-in, that's like a big part of the key, so I wouldn't get the key. Of course, I don't recommend getting the key anyway, but if you're going to get the key, make sure you do take advantage of that early check-in time. And lastly, what happens if you get a check-in time and somebody else in your family, even in the same cabin, gets a different time? This has happened to me before, where I go through person by person to get a check-in time. And me, I get, let's say, for a hypothetical case here, 11 a.m. to 11:30. But then when I go to one of my kids or my wife, it ends up being 11:30 to 12, or even later for that matter. What in that situation? Well, there's a couple things to keep in mind. If it's in the same cabin, it really doesn't matter. I employ what I call the fullback method, referring to NFL football, where I, as the fullback, present the earliest check-in time, and everybody else's check-ins obviously are right below my stack. If that makes sense. I show them my set sail pass first, and then you're good to go with that. If you have friends or family who are in different cabins than you, and you have different times, this method usually still works. I can't promise you that'll be the case. As is the case with many Royal Caribbean policies, they're kind of vague and there's some gray area, but in general, if one of you has a check-in time and you arrive together, and you all present your information together, usually that's not a problem. That's officially not the policy, I should add, but that has been my experience that they kind of look the other way as long as somebody's got the right time for that, keeping in mind that, of course, they understand your families, you're traveling together, it's part of your group, but it's something just to be aware of the policy versus practice as I explain all of that. There you go. There's a look at all, I think, the big Royal Caribbean check-in questions that I hear all the time. Hopefully, this helps you out, puts your mind at ease, and makes you better prepared for your check-in when it's time to board your Royal Caribbean cruise. Let me know in the comments below, did I miss a question? And do you agree with all my answers? Maybe you could think I'm crazy with some of these answers, especially about the key. Let me know in the comments below. While you're below our video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That way, YouTube lets you know of a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.